Welcome out to another episode of It's All Been Checked Before. This time, Deep Space Nine, Improbable Cause. Improbable Cause, Deep Space Nine, It's All Been Checked Before. It's a probable cause of a good time. It's our Patreon. Become a Patreon member. It's probably going to cause you to have a lot, even more fun than you're having with It's All Been Checked Before. Don't cost much. You'll go to patreon.com/IABD and you get all of the IABD stuff, IABD Present stuff, including the Mothership. It's All Been Done Radio Hour. And if you don't know them, you only know us, your universe is literally going to expand. Patreon.com/IBD. And now we're talking Improbable Cause, DS9. It's all been trekked before.
Welcome out to another episode of It's All Been Trekked Before. Your regular DS9 crew is here.
This is Stephen.
Jimmy-Jerome. We're here to talk about Improbable Cause. First impressions.
I thought it was pretty solid. You can tell we're moving forward with the arc or arcs. Get a little bit more Garrick. And part of me was telling me that there was going to be a part 2, but I was still like, man, how are they going to wrap this up in the next 10 minutes? And then I was like, okay, there it is. But I'm also glad that it wasn't called Improbable Cause Part 1. I much prefer that,
No, the part 2 is the die is cast, which implies there will be more fallout from what's to come. It felt like either a season finale, because TNG did some season finales that end on cliffhangers like this, or at least that next week would be the season finale, and that's not accurate. There are actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more episodes after the two-parter.
I thought that too. I was like, oh no, we still got a little ways to go. Yeah,
a little bit, and this is obviously the start of stuff that's going to reverberate for years to come. But I did remember how this is how it started, but it's still exciting to get to this. And it's really funny because I know the episode after this two-parter is like a very calm, mellow episode. And it's like, oh, yeah, I forgot about that. I think the next couple episodes are kind of calm, mellow, maybe even through the season finale before season 4 like hits the ground running.
yeah.
Which, again, feels like this should be the end of the season instead of 5 episodes before the end. But, whatever. I'm happy to get it regardless. It's fun episode. Always love Garrick.
Yeah.
Some really meaty Garrick stuff in here. Some confirmation about his backstory that were only rumors until now. Even if he's still going to keep lying about it going forward. So we start at the beginning. Garrick hates Shakespeare and thinks Julius Caesar's a fool, which makes total sense. But I appreciate that Garrick always has a different perspective on things and to turn commonly held beliefs on their head. And I thought using Shakespeare and Julius Caesar was a good example of that. Even as I wrote down at the moment, I'm like, give it a scene or two, and I know this is going to come back to stab him in the back, pun intended.
Yeah, I don't know how historically accurate Julius Caesar actually is, but it seems like it's fairly accurate.
Yeah.
But,
well, he talks about not
seeing
right in front of his face.
Right,
he's got blind spots. Like everybody has blind spots.
Yes, that's true.
Like Garrick has blind spots, and Tane has blind spots, and Odo has blind spots. Like they all have blind spots. So
and a lot of Caesar, his ego became huge. That's true. He did he gained more blind spots.
It makes absolute sense when you break it down, but it's still like, oof. Avery Brooks, I don't think has a blind spot. The actor played Cisco because he directed this episode, and what a great directing job he did. And I'm getting into these notes right at the beginning because why not? The teleplay was by Renee Echevarria, which is one of our regulars, but the story was pitched by Robert Letterman and David R. Long. Robert Letterman is known for working as an editor on TNG and Voyager, and DS9 as well, but not as many. For writing credits, he has 2 episodes of DS9 and 1 of Voyager. His other of DS9 is a season 5 episode that I don't remember based on the title, and his Voyager episode is a season 7 episode. So spread it out. That's their final season. Whereas David R. Long has the same 2 DS9 in the same Voyager episode, and those are his only IMDb credits. So, yeah, interesting. So Garrick's gonna bring Bashir chocolates. I mean, these are the reasons we all think they have a romantic relationship. Not that you can't give a friend chocolates, of course you can.
Sure,
but
yeah, they could be heterosexual or whatever. I like that they start with theater. they talk about food, and then there's a Taylor joke and everything, and so I thought that was great. I I wasn't sure. I guess Garrick makes sense in the 24th century that everyone, in theory, has enough food or more than enough. And in theory, in 21st century America, we all should have enough, but that's a different conversation. But I've always been a fast eater, but I think it was because I did have three siblings and I wanted to beat them too. And I still eat fast, but I feel like if you eat slow, your food gets cold, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So who wants cold food? That's my I think it's my number one reason. But and if it's good, I want to eat. I want it now. So there's a little bit of gluttony. There's a little bit of gluttony and practicality. But yeah, I'm more like Bashir.
Yeah. Well, then Garrick's shop blows up, which at the moment I wrote Garrick sees her because he missed something that's right in front of him. Obviously, as the episode plays out, that's not quite accurate, although he still misses things that are right in front of him and is blinded by personal loyalty. But it's not the shop blowing up that is part of that.
I like that his first line back to Bashir is about, well, those pants aren't going to be done.
I wrote down even before he said anything, Bashir's not getting his pants. I like that the writers were on the same page there. Did we need the murder investigation scene, meaning the scene right after that where Sisko and O'Brien and Odo determine it was attempted murder? I don't feel like we do. I feel like that's obvious. And you could dispatch that in one line and give us some more time for something else,
Yeah.
because there were a few things that felt rushed or some things I would have liked to dwell on more. That extra scene of them being like, okay, well, we have this evidence and this evidence and this evidence, so I guess it must be murder, feels extraneous.
Yeah, I can see that. And maybe they did all the work on that blown up set that they wanted to get another scene there. But
Sure.
yeah, I think that's valid.
Yeah.
Like, we know there was a big explosion. We're pretty sure it wasn't an accident. I guess that was again. Is O'Brien's there, right? Isn't he?
O'Brien is there.
Yeah, he's there. Yeah, he's the one who looked at the conduit and all that stuff.
And of course, when Odo's questioning Garrick protests too much, as he always does. And I did like the bit, though, where they're talking about, well, have you looked into Major Kira? And they're like, if Major Kira wanted you dead, you'd be dead. And he's like, fair point. Which I don't know that's a fair point, because Garrick's pretty freaking conniving. I do think Kira might be the one crew person that has a chance of taking him out if they want to. But I also think it would not be easy for her to take him out. I think he's 10 steps ahead of everybody at all times. So still appreciated. And then he says he was
Bashir on how quickly he called for medical help.
Mm-hmm.
Called an ambulance immediately.
Oh, absolutely. And then the Garrick says he was exiled from Cardassia for tax evasion, which of course we know is inaccurate. It's a lie, of course. But still, I was like,
that felt like a Al Capone reference.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I think it was just a convenient excuse, but I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
But yeah. They talk about the boy who cried wolf, and again, talking about Garrick's different perspectives, I love that his lesson was not don't lie, it was don't tell the same lie twice.
Yeah, I was trying to think, when's the last time I thought of the boy that cried wolf? And the actual story itself, rather than just somebody saying, don't be the boy that cried wolf or whatever. And it's been a long time, but I thought, oh, okay, this is kind of interesting. I like the way Bashir told it, but then yeah, Garrick still gets the topper and we're out. And I chuckled, but also nodded like,
Yeah, and also Garrick's point about the boy who cried wolf's probably too graphic for children. Yeah, that's probably true. Mm-hmm. But a lot of our fairy tales and myths, fables play into that. O'Brien doesn't want Garrick to hear what he's about to tell Odo when he does the investigation, and yet, like, he lowers his voice and he moves aside with Odo, but they still do it within Garrick's earshot. And it's like, if you don't want Garrick to hear, I mean, within the scene, it's clear that Garrick hears. You don't talk in front of Garrick, right? Like, Garrick, of all people, you can't just move away and lower your voice. You gotta hear it.
I agree.
So, we've got the scene where Odo interrogates while shopping. I believe that character's name is that Informant? No, it can't be Informant.
Is that Ritaya?
Ritaya, Carlos Lacamara?
The Phylaxian?
Yes, the Phylaxian.
Yes,
He's best known for Independence Day, The Mexican, The Brothers Garcia, 48 episodes, and The World's Fastest Indian. He has credits up through 2023, so still active.
I liked his look, and I thought that was I thought that was a good scene too, because I thought it was going to be a lot more simpler than that, and they let it play out in the whole, well, if you put this with this kind of a thing and all that stuff. I thought that was all interesting. So I like that scene.
I did, but I almost thought he was too Garrick-like. Like every one of his answers, every one of his
Yeah,
lines could have been Garrick, and
yeah,
he was clearly not as smart as Garrick and not
right.
as conniving, but I would have appreciated if it wasn't like personality wise almost a Garrick clone.
Fair.
And I don't know why Odo beat around the bush with the shopping thing other than to lay the trap to test him. Like if
Mm-hmm.
poisons were his thing, Odo must have suspected the poisons were his thing, even though they
Mm-hmm.
weren't investigating him for a poisoning. It
Right.
feels kind of convoluted, but it's also like it was clear to both of them that Odo wasn't really shopping, even though they put the trappings on. And it doesn't feel like Odo would ever be that indirect. Odo feels so much more direct to me. So I didn't quite buy Odo's approach to that interrogation.
Yeah, yeah, I thought it was, yeah, to get, maybe he'd get more out of him than he had planned by going the roundabout way, but yeah, it is not his usual MO, that's for sure.
Yeah. So the alien escape. They let the alien escape, and we have Garrick inviting himself along for Odo's pursuit, which,
Oh, right.
yeah, I think again it was Odo was a little bit out of character. Let Garrick
Uh-huh.
too easily accompany him, but man, were you buckling in for like, okay, now we're going on a road trip for 20 minutes, and then it's over 20 seconds later?
Yeah, happily, I was both disappointed, but kind of happily. So like, okay, you guys again subverting my expectations. But I did have the thought like, is this necessary for these? Because I feel like every time more than one person goes in a roundabout on a trip, it's like, is this necessary? Other than for us to for them to get to know each other, and which often it's been a lot of fun. It's been enjoyable, but I
We
like the
still
quick
got
thing.
some Odo and Garrick on a road trip
Mm-hmm.
eventually. They
Yeah.
just didn't do it right now, and
Yeah.
obviously part two promises a little bit more of that.
Mm-hmm.
They, but I liked the fake out. I thought they set us up for a classic Trek trope and then subverted expectations.
Yeah.
So, so they talk to a Romulan who immediately admits to killing the the alien, which is kind of out of character for a Romulan, but whatever. You know, Romulans are always playing
Yeah.
four-dimensional chess, so who knows what the
Right.
reason. But that Romulan was played by Darwin Carson, best
Yeah.
known for True Confessions, the 1981 film, The Last Halloween, Signs and Wonders, a TV series where she played one episode, and then this one episode part on Deep Space Nine. So 50 credits, but not a lot of notable credits. I liked her
Yeah.
character. I liked the bringing the Romulans into the story, which I
Mm-hmm.
know we needed to do, but I
Yeah.
also just enjoyed. Normally, I don't love Romulan stories, but I think this one's interesting.
Oh,
Just
go on.
yeah, it was just like Romulans are never straightforward. She was so straightforward, and maybe that's the 12-dimensional chess she's playing or whatever.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. They tell what they want, and yeah, and I like that Odo gets a fashion joke in here when he says, "Considering those uniforms of theirs, you'd think they'd appreciate a decent tailor."
yeah, I don't. That sounded like a dig, but then you could also say, well, the Romulan uniforms have changed since we've last seen them. I was
That's true.
listening to the Greatest Generation guys talking about this episode, and they mentioned that insult wasn't clearly an insult. It was hard to tell. They also mentioned,
Oh, I see. Yeah.
yeah, like it was a little bit off. They also pitched an idea that I love, where it was, what if the Romulans just started being completely straight with the Federation at all times? And then, like, for 10 years, the Federation would be totally thrown off their game. Like, what? We don't believe them. And then as soon as they start believing them, then the Romulans go back to the way they used to be. Like, that would be brilliant tactical move.
That makes sense.
I really appreciated that pitch by them. So we have another Star Trek cave meeting. The cave, I think, was the
I
same one
wrote
we just saw on Voyager, like, last week.
I wrote that down. Boy, another cave.
Well, then we find out like it's all part of a bigger plot that there's five
Yeah.
other people dead and Garrick's the only one that survived it, which I think that's when alarm bells start going off in Odo's mind. And I give Odo credit for being shown to be a brilliant investigator in this episode by figuring out that Garrick blew up his own freaking shop, which I've seen this. I knew this. I still felt surprised, even though I remember being surprised before. I forgot that twist.
I kind of that was my I kind of had that hunch, and maybe whatever, who knows. But so I wasn't too surprised. I thought he was a suspect from the beginning, but is the deal that because Odo and I call it the informant Deep Throat, but we'll just call him the informant so we keep our clean rating. Is the deal they just can't look at each other? Because I don't think they look at each other the whole time, right? No, the informant looks at him, but Odo doesn't look at the informant.
The informant says very, very early on in the meeting that I've changed my appearance since the last time you saw me, so I don't want you to see me.
Oh, that's it, yeah.
So it's part of the cloak and dagger. And I like that he says, we're square now, but if you want to give me a little information, then I'll owe you some more. They've clearly had a long-running relationship.
Mm-hmm.
I thought Joseph Ruskin played the informant, best known for Smokin' Aces, Star Trek Insurrection, where he played Sona Officer Number 3, which is not a, notable role, but spoiler, Sona Officer Number 3 is not a big role in the movie. Also played an episode of the character of Galt in The Gamesters of Triskelion back in 1968.
Oh, yeah.
Also in The Scorpion King. Those are what he's best known for, but he'll also play a Suliban doctor in an episode of Enterprise. He did a couple voices for the video game Star Trek Away Team and Star Trek Hidden Evil. He'll play a Vulcan in an episode of Star Trek Voyager. Mm-hmm. What? I'm sorry?
You did House of Quark. You might have already just said that, but
I did not. And then he also will be back in season 5 to play a totally different character in an episode as well.
Yeah, that guy's had a good career.
Good character actor. I mean, a lot of credits. Yeah. Only 168. I of course say that to be facetious, but one of the few actors that appeared in the original series that came back. And not just back once, but a bunch of times as different characters every time. So, good for him. We get to Odo accusing Garak. I'm surprised you suspected it, even with the poisoning thing. I will admit I was a little confused at why there was a poisoning talk when this was supposed to be about an explosion. But in general, I was not. It did not ring the alarm bells for me that, this was a setup. Is that when you started to think he might have blown it up with the poisoning thing?
I don't know if I was just like, it's Garak, so who knows what he's up to right off the bat. And I know he's got a history, but I also thought, and I think somebody says, he says, well, I'm just a simple tailor. But
that's what he always
says.
Like,
well, that doesn't help you either in my mind. I don't know what the game is here, but yeah, I thought it was him. I shouldn't say he was my number one suspect, but it was definitely, he was in my top 3. I guess.
So the Tain was the only one. Oh, sorry. Garak mentions with his shop he enjoyed watching it burn, or wasn't displeased by watching it burn. And I think we've got the impression before. We've got the impression before he does not enjoy being a tailor, but that's, I think, the most explicit version of that. Yeah. That this is his exile, this is his punishment.
Well, I love the dichotomy of, we now know he's not crazy about it. Everybody kind of knows that feels like it's a cover or, not his thing, but they also go to him to get their pants fixed at the same time. So he's obviously proficient, even despite all that. So,
well, I feel like somebody like Garak would never do something sloppy or half done, right?
Well, yeah. And that's my alternate episode is some of the other fake jobs he's had. So I feel like when he goes undercover. He, does his work. And so, yeah, that would be my alternate episode. Him as a baker or a person who fixes watches. Or, I don't know. Yeah. I don't know why I'm thinking of jobs in a medieval village, a cobbler. But yeah, 24th century, there's probably a bunch of 24th century jobs that I obviously do not know about.
So my alternate episode was that it's Garak all along, cue the Agatha all along theme song, but that Garak set up everything. And this was all a big plot by Garak to get back in good graces. And the whole attack, everything was Garak's plan, which I feel like would have taken him off the board. So I don't really want that alternate episode. Because I want him to survive to be in the next 4 seasons. And he will survive this to be in the next 4 seasons. But yeah. So Tain is the only head of the Obsidian Order to survive long enough to retire. Which I think tells you a lot about Tain. I mean, Paul Dooley, you don't immediately think master spy. But I think we've had a good example here, or we've had enough good character development in his scant appearances. This is the second one, I think, in this role as Tain. Let me double check. Yeah. So, obviously, he was in The Wire last season. He'll obviously be back in part 2 of this. And has at least one more episode after that. Maybe more, maybe, but not less. At least one more, saying the two-parter is not his last appearance. I think they had to, because he plays such a role in Garrick's life. We really had to develop him quickly, and I think they did an excellent job. And I think just Paul Dooley's talent makes that easy to do. He can add a lot of layers and depth to his small role. But yeah, I was very impressed with him, and that I was a little surprised Garrick admitted to being Tane's trusted advisor, because before now he's always been so in denial that he's been a part of the Obsidian Order. Like, that's part of his cover. Maybe at this point he just didn't see any point in keeping it secret from Odo, but basically he admitted to being one of the top people in the Obsidian Order at one time. So, or maybe he just knows Odo already kind of knows that anyway, so it's really not giving anything away. I don't know. We're getting a scene with Mila, who is Tane's housekeeper, that has a soft spot for Garrick. She is Juliana McCarthy, best known for The Frighteners, Starship Troopers, Striking Distance, and playing the reoccurring role of Mila on Deep Space Nine. She's in this episode, and then she's in the final season. So we won't see her again for a long while, but we will see her again. Comes back for multiple episodes in the final season of the series. So she made an impression on me as well, and maybe I'm remembering her stuff from season 7. But I was like, ooh, I want a little more of what's going on here, or at least that backstory between her and Tane and Garrick and all of that. She really seems way more upfront than Garrick or Tane, like begging him for help and telling him, promise me. And Garrick actually promises, which almost surprised me, because Garrick is so not showing allegiance to anybody other than maybe Bashir, right? We also find out that Tane is the one that exiled Garrick, so Garrick should hate him, and yet Garrick is risking his life to help him, which Odo finds puzzling. I don't, again, because I already know some of the Garrick Tane stuff, and I think by the end of this episode, you know some things that give you some insight. But were you puzzled, or?
Yeah, I know we've talked about Tane's going to be a thing, and I think so. In my mind, I just kept thinking, there's more here than meets the eye with these guys, and they've got a history, and definitely they're both like who's zooming who here. And I wrote down the line. I never thought I'd hear myself say this, Garrick, but I believe you, which I thought was interesting. Which again, I think in my mind, it wasn't that he was like, well, Garrick, you're a liar, and because he double crossed Garrick or whatever, but just that's what they do. I mean, they're the Obsidian Order. That's when are they ever telling the truth? I mean, you would think they would be telling each other the truth, but obviously that's not their history either. And Garrick's got to have his guard up around, well, really everybody, but especially Tane.
Yeah. Garrick accuses Odo of not caring for anyone, which of course his feelings for Kira like hang over that so heavily. But yeah, I think he's got a point. I definitely saw the parallels between Odo and Garrick. And yeah. Also, Garrick's right. It was wise not to tell him. I kind of suspect Garrick already knows Odo has feelings for Kira, but also Garrick kind of made it a threat when he was like, no, you shouldn't tell me. Okay.
Yeah, I liked him. I like that line too. You shouldn't tell me.
Yeah. Garrick and Tane's sparring starts out by sparring over fashion, but obviously it's not about fashion. Probably my favorite scene of the episode. It was such a good toe-to-toe, two amazing actors. Yeah. So the Romulans have a plan. Well, so the Romulans and Cardassians, the Obsidian Order and the Tal Shiar, which is not the government of the Romulans, and it's not the government of the Cardassians. These are their secret people, secret organizations, have a plan to wipe out the Dominion without telling their governments. Surely that's definitely going to go well, right?
Yeah.
That's why the Dominion War is started and done in season 3 of Deep Space Nine. And then the last 4 seasons are much more peaceful. But
and again, this is, I mean, we've talked about this on a smaller level or bigger level, but that it's not a huge wrinkle, but it is, TOS was simple, Federation, Klingons are our enemy, the Romans are our enemy. It's kind of Cold War politics, whereas this is more 90s global. There's all these different factions with, and it's hard to tell whose interests are, we've had the terrorism word thrown around a lot in this series. So yeah, I think it's very interesting, all of that stuff. And then what's Section 31 up to?
I mean, I would
We're
assume
probably
they're
not going to hear, but
well, Section 31 starts in Deep Space Nine.
okay. So
It's not on the board yet, but it starts.
okay.
That is the first appearance of Section 31 in canon is on Deep Space Nine, and not just a single episode. So
Awesome.
we're gonna get to that. I would imagine. I can't remember for sure what the canon says, but I would imagine Section 31 is aware of this operation and decided it's better to sit it out and let see what happens. But
I think that makes sense.
We'll see. So Tane knows the location of the Founder homeworld in the Dominion. I guess the changelings should have never shown Odo their planet. But also the changelings are smart, so we'll see how they deal with that.
Yeah.
When Tane says Garrick can go, Garrick betrayed him, but Garrick says he never betrayed him in his heart. I'm still not fully sure if Tane would actually let him go. I'm still not fully sure if his offer to let Garrick join is sincere. And I've seen this show. I've seen these episodes, and I'm still not fully sincere or fully sure.
I'm not either. I'm with you.
So Odo reminds Garrick of why he should not trust Tane, but Garrick still goes for it. Does that surprise you?
Yeah, and it's I wrote that line down too. The whole Tane says, I can't forgive what you did, but I can try to forget, to put it aside as if it never happened. And I wrote down, I guess that's kind of a thing that if you're a agent of orders like they are, I guess that's something you have to do, is in a sense have not a short memory as far as what you did to me in the terms of, well, that was then, and we got to take care of this thing now. So maybe I do need this person around. Like I was just talking to all these factions, and so it creates all these different alliances too within those factions, and even down on this most micro level of these two guys, who obviously had a lot to do with the recent history of this area of the galaxy. So yeah, I was surprised that we ended up, at that place. But I also, like I said, I understand, like, oh, I guess that makes sense, that enemy of my enemy, even though he's my enemy, is my friend, kind of thing, or for now. And I'll get back to revenge after we do this. We see that in a lot of movies, not just even spies, just, well, we got this bigger thing, bigger kettle of fish or whatever, take care of. So for now, I'm not gonna forgive you or forget, but we got to take care of this other business.
So we get to the to be continued. Yeah, I mean that kind of says it all. This story could not be contained in one episode. I'm glad we got a Garrick episode that was more than one. It almost feels a little odd that we're getting an episode centered around a non-lead that has a to be continued. But this was very much a Garrick episode. I mean, it was an Odo episode too, but I feel like Odo was B and Garrick was A to a certain extent.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, like I said, 10 minutes out, I'm like, I don't think this feels like it's a two-parter. And then I was glad it went that way too. It makes sense. Because I couldn't come up with a simple, oh, we're done, we'll see you next week kind of a thing. So I'm glad they didn't. And I'm glad it wasn't Improbable Cause Part 1. So
no, I like that they have different titles, and Deep Space Nine does that a lot. I mean, they did Past Tense Part 1 and Part 2, but Deep Space Nine a lot of times will give it different titles. I mean, they've got like a 7-part episode coming up, and like I want to say end of season 6, beginning of season 7, and it's 7 different episode titles. I mean, that would be really raffle if it was Part 1 through 7, but
I also actually, and I'm down on titles quite often, but I actually like Improbable Cause as a play on the probable cause from our Fourth Amendment, which will probably get rescinded anytime soon. But in the meantime, I do appreciate this play on words, Improbable Cause. So I like that. So I thought that was smart too. And this is one of those episodes that there is, there's those episodes I like that throw the kitchen sink and they're just crazy. And it's just like, all right, I'm not sure this is a great episode, but there was so much going on. It was so nuts. I loved it. And there's a lot going on, but in a not in that kind of way. I thought it was all building on each other as well. And even the mystery is like, and I know I'm like, well, I knew, or I had a hunch it was Garrick, but that just tells me the what, not the why, and all that other stuff. So we'll continue to learn. So I thought, usually, like I said, I'm like, just gonna tell me what the end of the mystery is. But for whatever reason, I had a hunch that that the mystery itself was not really the point of the episode. It was just the vehicle to get us to this next part to find out what's coming next in this part of the galaxy.
Any other notes before we get to the rankings?
No, I thought I had a lot more than that. Oh, just one more. This is one of those things that I think I've talked about before, and they mentioned the Yolosians at the top and all the things they're going to have to do for them. I think it's when Kira and Bashir are talking about what else do I need to know about the Yolosians other than they're colorblind and some other things. And then we never see the Yolosians. So I'm a little split on that, but I kind of like that they're like, well, we're just going to tip towards this and then we're never coming back to it. And so they leave it up to us to fill in the rest of it. But maybe there'll be a callback, but at some point, but I doubt it. So I did like that. The fact that I almost kind of leaned in like, okay, I was like, all right, I want to meet these guys. And then they're like, no, you don't get to. I'm not even mad about it. I was okay with it. Again, bigger fish to fry. So, and those are all mine.
Great. Let's get to the rankings then. Who was your annoyance for this episode?
You explained a little bit, but the informant, I just didn't like the whole way that worked. But
the Romulan informant?
The other one, the
Are you talking about the Rataya?
Yeah, the guy yelling down at him. Yeah.
Yeah, he was also my annoyance as well.
And he didn't. I feel like he could have cut to the chase if he was. If you're gonna be an informant,
you're talking about the informant. I'm sorry, I was talking about the perfume salesman, Rataya.
Oh,
you're actually talking about the informant.
I was talking about the informant. But
no, I didn't find the.
That's not. I didn't find the informant shady. Not a bad choice. Although I guess I liked him. I really liked his look. But I see what you're saying about him and Garrick being similar.
They're just too similar, in my opinion.
Yeah. I can see that.
Who was your shady character?
Garrick, always.
See, as much as Garrick's shady, and he did surprise Tane. Tane being the whole mastermind behind this made Tane my shady character.
I don't think either one of them is for sure has not turned over all their cards for sure.
Oh God, no. Who are you having a drink with this week?
I wrote down two options. It was either our Romulan friend or Odo. I'm gonna go with Odo.
I could not fully decide, so I'm inviting myself on Odo and Garrick's road trip and having a drink with them then. The three of us.
Yeah.
A little bit cheating, but yeah.
Sure.
Ranking the episode, at the top right now is Destiny, which was the three Cardassian Vipers and the prophecy and all of that.
Okay.
I definitely think this is going to be number 1 or 2. So I'm going to start up at the top here with Destiny. That's tough. That was a really good episode.
That was recent, right? Or no?
It was like 5 episodes ago, which would have been like 3-4 months ago from our recording.
Yep.
Oh, that had surprising twists and things too.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of torn.
Yeah. My recency bias goes with this one.
Yeah, I'm kind of leaning towards this one just because of that Garrick and Tane scene that was so strong.
Yeah.
I think we're gonna have to go with this for number 1. This is a fantastic episode. So was that. Not that this season's had some really good episodes, but okay. So that's that. Next week, Star Trek Voyager: Heroes and Demons. When Harry Kim disappears during his Beowulf Hollow novel, Chakotay and Tuvok sent to investigate disappear as well. Not wanting to lose any more crew members, the doctors transferred to the holodeck to investigate. So another investigation, pretty much the same episode as this, I would say. Facetiously and not at all agreeing.
It'll from the sound of it, it'll probably be my number 1. holodeck episode.
I know once you get the holodeck, it's gonna be all for Stephen. And by the sound of it, it sounds like it's a strong Harry Kim episode. So I'm looking forward to lots of great Harry Kim scenes.
Yeah, I look forward to seeing a lot of him. That'll be great.
And until then, live long.
To be continued and prosper.
It's All Been Done presents
Who's Got the Time?